Hello, welcome back. In the last video, as part of introduction to Azure NoSQL offering, we have seen a few of the details. In this video, let us see Azure NoSQL offering storage account demo. So when we're talking about NoSQL offering, like how do you create a storage account? So in the previous video, we have discussed what are the different NoSQL offering in Azure. So for creating all these offerings, so we need to have a storage account in Azure. So how do you create a storage account? What are the multiple options? What are the different options that we have? So let's see in this video. So if you see, this is what we have seen in the previous video, that this is a NoSQL storage, and we have different NoSQL offerings. At a high level, we have Azure storage, and inside Azure storage, we have blob, table, file, and queue, and we have data lake, which is Gen 1 and Gen 2, and also we have Cosmos DB. So these are the NoSQL offerings. But in this, when we are talking about in this video, we are creating a Azure storage account. So this is more specific to all others except Cosmos DB. For Cosmos DB, we will have a separate account creation, but for all others like data lake, blob storage, table, file, and queue. So we will see in this demo how to create Azure storage account, and we can utilize all of this storage offering except Cosmos DB, right? So this is a quick recap what we have seen in the previous video. If you have not seen the previous video, you can just go through that. And going to the next, so if you see account types, when you are creating a storage account, so when we talk about account type, I'm talking about the storage account types here. So previously Azure was having three different, at a high level, they were having three different options, right, to create a account, storage accounts. One is blob, another one is Gen 1 and Gen 2. But now they have made it much more simpler. So previously it was much more complicated actually. So in the demo I'll show you what was the complication also. And currently, if you see this diagram, this is what we have currently. When we are talking about storage account at a high level, they are dividing into two parts. One is standard general purpose V2, and another is premium. So the main difference is definitely the cost, because storage account Gen V2, this is built on the magnetic disk tapes, and premium is basically built on solid state drives. So definitely the cost is the concern here when you are choosing the premium. And also Gen 2 is actually the most commonly used, so because of the cost and because of what it offers. So let us see what Gen 2 offers here. General purpose V2 offers basically. So it offers blob, data lake, queue, table, and Azure files. So I want to come back I want to take a step back here, and I want to explain you in the previous video what we have seen, right? So basically uh, this will support blob, table, file, queue, and data lake. Except it supports everything basically. If you see, literally it can support all the offerings basically, right? And if you come back to the premium storage SSD, which is created on top of SSD, so it will not support all the blobs. Basically it supports only two types of blobs. One is blob and page blob, and another one is it supports actually the file share also. File share is one of the exceptional offering by Azure in terms of premium. But this block and page blob are types of blob only. Basically there are three types of blob: blob, page blob, and append blob. Append blob is not part of premium as of now. So these are the three offerings in premium sector. So if you see, block blob has its own scenario where we have to choose when it is a high transaction rates, or in the scenarios where that uses smaller objects or require consistently low latency. So for storage, and for file, it is recommended to use when we require a high performance scale applications. For that purpose, if you want, like, you can use a file share. And page blob is again a premium storage account type for page blob only, so it is only support for page blob. So these actually we will discuss in detail in the next coming slides or next coming topics. So basically what we need to understand is, when we're talking about standard purpose general V2, it is most commonly used. So this is the most commonly used in most of the scenarios, big data scenarios, analysis, analytics, whatever you want, it provides. Because blob is cheap storages, it is meant for cheap storage, archival, and you can dump the files here. In data lake you can perform analytics. In table storage you can have where you want to have some kind of a NoSQL scenarios. So queue storage is meant for first in first out services. So you can have all types of storage that you think about a big data or analysis or analytics scenarios. So I would recommend to always go with the general purpose V2 unless you have any exceptional cases like these. But most of the cases, I would say 90 to 95% of the cases, you'll be choosing general purpose standard V2. Otherwise, it is just this is the most commonly used, right? And again, I want to come So one step back here and talk about general purpose v1. So general purpose v1 is already it's already decommissioned by Azure. That means the old services are still running, but there is already a plan to decommission it. Most of the organization are currently having a plan to move general purpose v1 to v2. So there is some timeline given by Azure. Within that timeline, so all the organization has to move the data from Gen 1 to v2, uh, basically. And this is already decommissioned, and you cannot create a new general purpose v2. So that's the reason I was talking about the change in architecture. If you see, this has been removed now, and general purpose v2 and blob storage v2 we have, and this is general purpose v2, and this premium is blob, what I'm talking, where it supports two kinds of blob and file storage. So this has been simplified when you compare these two diagrams, right? And when general purpose v2 is removed. So this is about the new architecture. Hope this is clear. New basically the hierarchy. Hope this is clear. There are only two, keep in mind there are only two types now: standard purpose v2 and premium. And most commonly used is standard general purpose v2. And so without wasting much time now, we'll directly jump to the creation of storage account. So whenever you go for portal.azure.com, you land in the home screen, and already you see a storage account here, or you can just click create resource and type storage account here, right? So here also you can go and select, or you can directly select from here, which is the most convenient way. Like on top there is a search button, so search bar basically. You can go and search here, and so you land into this page where you have option to create storage account, and it will always also list the existing storage accounts. So we'll try to create a new storage account now. So basically this subscription is meant for billing purpose. So this subscription can be at any organization level one subscription, or there might be a geographical level subscriptions, like each country can have one subscription, or there might be a logical level subscription, like finance is having one subscription and sales is having another subscription, or it might be a project level also. So basically it is for a billing purpose, how you want to bill Azure, how Azure want you to bill. So that is more of choosing a subscriptions, but currently we are using free trial, so there I'm selecting free trial. So I'll use resource group. Resource group is nothing but it is a logical combination. So it is basically a logical grouping, basically for grouping different things. Maybe you want to group the policies, you want to run some certain policies on top of that, rules on top of that, security rules, or if you want to create a monitoring kind of scenarios on top of this resource groups, and also for the pricing, you want to monitor the pricing. Basically, it's a logical group, right? So all the resources are listed in this group. One group can have, resource group can have multiple resources. And next, obviously, we need to give the storage account in here. Let us give storage, the data channel. So it will basically validate if it is available. If it is not available, it will show in a different color. So now I want to choose a region. So region, we need to choose very carefully, like so it makes sense to choose a region where it is near to your customer, near to your application, or if you are using different resource in a project, like suppose you are using a storage account, you are using a SQL server, you are using Databricks, Data Factory. So different resource, it makes sense also to have everything in the same region. So there will be a lot of latency, good latency basically. I mean the less latency, where there will be a less delay in communication, and also it reduces the cost as well. So make sure that you choose the region based on all these parameters. And next comes the important radio button, so where you want to choose standard and premium. So this is where you decide whether what we were talking in the previous slide, right? So just I'll come back to the slide here. So what you want to go, whether you want to go to standard or whether you want to go to the premium. So that actually you are deciding here. And if you see, if you are choosing a standard, so the redundancy also, you will see all kind of redundancy. So this we will discuss in further videos, but so just to understand, it is already listing all kind of redundancy, like LRS, GRS, ZRS, and DZRS. And if you choose premium, right, so it only supports few, like that too dependent on these premium types of accounts. So again, I want to come back to the slide. I was talking block, file share, and page block. So if you see here, these are the three types. And so based on this, the first two will support LRS and ZRS, that is block and file. And the third one, page block, will support only LRS. So it again depends, like on top of this is what I mean. And when you go to the advanced also, right? So if I'm selecting standard and then I go to advanced, so you can see here, enable hierarchical namespace. This means you enable the Gento account, data lake Gento account. So that means So you want to have a data lake gen 2 created for this, right? And you also have the access tiers, hot and cool. Okay, hot is nothing but whenever you are using accessing the data very frequently, when you are doing a read and write on a daily basis, that is for that meant for that purpose. And cold is nothing but it is mainly used for archival kind of scenario where you are less using the data. So basically, it supports when you are using the standard type. However, when you select premium, and let us see what changes in the advanced tab here. So it doesn't supports the hierarchical namespace. It is disabled now, right? And also it doesn't supports the uh, access tiers. You don't see the option for access tiers here. So that's the difference, like when you're talking about all this. And I'll just, as of now, for the demo purpose, I'm choosing a standard one, which is the most commonly used. And I'll go to the next tab, and I'll keep all default, and I'll just check the enable hierarchical namespace because I want a data lake gen 2 account. And I'll go with a hot tier. So networking also I'm keeping as it is by default now, because I don't have any live project. If I'm using a live project or a production scenarios, then I need to choose actually this networking very carefully, because it actually uh, depends on or makes sense when you're talking about security and VNetting or networking aspects. And so the data protection, so again it more talks about the archival and other stuffs. So I want to go with the current basic default values. So it basically talks about soft deletes, right? So when something is deleted, it still have the backup of those many days, and then it deletes. That's what we call it as soft deletes. And next it talks about the encryption, which you want to choose. Basically, if you want to choose keep it as a managed, that means default is Azure managed one, or you can bring your own keys and have a customer managed keys here. So these are the few important things. And tags, I think if you're having specific tags that you want to create for a project or something, you can add that tag here, or else you can keep it as blank. And in the final tab, basically, it is a review and create. That means it will review and it will check the eligibility of whatever you have selected. Are you eligible? So if you see here the validation is passed, that means the review is complete and we are good to create it. So I'm just creating it, and it takes some time to actually deploy the storage account. And we can also go here in the notification bar and monitor what is actually happening in the background. So it shows start running here, and I can come back to this main screen and I can keep on refreshing. Yeah, after 1 or 2 minutes, it has created the storage account for me. So the storage account name is storage the data channel. So once it is created, if you can see here, it is having containers. So container is like you can have a container where you can have blob storage, and also you can have a data lake storage. Also you have file share, queue storage, table storage also. And again, I want to go back here to the first recap architecture. So basically, literally, you can create data lake, blob storage, table storage, file storage, queue storage, all these things here. So we have all the options that is created for us. So this storage account will enable us to use all this. But still, we have just created the account which is for the billing purpose. But if you want to have the containers, which is for blob and ADLS and file share and queue for tables for different purpose, so again we need to go and create here for queue and table and separately, basically, right? It is just what we have created is just a storage account now. So, and also once you see here, there are multiple options, networking options and other options that we will see in the separate sections for security sections and other things. But I think as of now, we are good by creating a storage account now. So we have seen the different options of storage account creations and what is the cost difference and other details. And let's come back to the screen and let's summarize. If you see, this is a general purpose V2. This is the first type that we can create, and it's the most widely used scenarios in most of the cases. And it supports blob file table and supports blob access tier, that is hot and cold. But also it supports blob, append blob, and page blob, all type of blobs. And it supports the data lake gen 2, and it supports all type of replications. That means local LRS, global redundance. Basically, there are 4 types of replication that we will see in the future videos. And the second one we already talked to, that is a premium version, which is rarely used. It supports only blob and file share and blob storage, page blob storage, and it doesn't support all type of replication. Basically, that means not all 4. It supports only 2. That also based on what type of blob you are choosing, blob or page blob or file share. That we have already seen. That's it for today. I think hope this was useful. Thanks for watching.